Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rankings, where basically I rank my worst to my favorite things of what the video topic is, of this one being the Batman movies, and basically giving you like a brief description of exactly why I like them or dislike them. I also want to say, if you're not a subscriber, you like what you see, by all means subscribe to the channel, and that way you can check out all my new content. I release videos usually daily, with the exception of usually Fridays. One day a week I take off from releasing videos. Also, hit the bell notification so that way you're up to date on all the videos that I'm releasing. On today's episode of Rankings, I'm doing, like I said, the Batman movies. That's going to include all the from the Tim Burton series. I'm not going to include the 1960s one because I've never really watched it. I watched it way back when I was a kid. But I'm not going to include that one. I'm going to actually just start from the 89 Batman and go through all those movies for the Joel Schumachers, and then I'm also going to include the Christopher Nolan movies, and then also I am going to include the Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, because Batman was a pivotal character in those movies. Unlike how when I did my Spider-Man rankings, I did not include Civil War or Infinity War, because Spider-Man wasn't an integral part of those movies. He wasn't a main character. Batman was a main character in these movies that I'm not going to list. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the rankings of the Batman movies. Coming in at number 9 is got to be the worst Batman movie, if not also the worst comic book movie we have ever seen. Batman and Robin is just fucking horrendous. I can't even turn on this movie and get even past 5 fucking seconds in it. The first line of the movie makes me turn it off. Soon as he comes on and says, "I want a car. Chicks dig the car." I turn the fucking thing off. It is a fucking one-line punch joke. Especially with Arnold's character. It's that fucking awful. They made this movie just to sell toys. I mean, it's already been confirmed on that and everything. And just the movie is fucking horrible wrote and everything. And just thank God they stopped at this point and we ended up getting a better Batman later on. But yeah, Batman and Robin, number 9. If I could put this all the way down in the thousands, I would. Coming in at number 8 is Justice League. And I kind of already stated where I kind of was on this movie in my DC Cinematic Universe rankings. To be honest, I'm not taking away from Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck actually did a good job as Bruce Wayne in this movie, especially this movie. I like Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. He did play a decent Batman, and I'm not going to take away from that either. But this movie altogether is just a fucking god awful piece of shit. It's fucking rushed. WB, cut it down and just interfered too much with this movie. And that's the reason why this movie is that bad. Coming in at number 7 is Batman vs. Superman, also another one of those Ben Affleck in the last of the DCEU. We finally get Batman and Superman on the screen at the same time, and this movie just lackluster because of the fact of WB forced Zack Snyder to cut it down, and the one that we got in theaters was just fucking awful. The ultimate cut is actually a lot better, and like I said, I like Ben Affleck actually as Bruce Wayne Batman. He did a damn good job. But yeah, it's on my low list of favorite Batman movies. Coming in at number 6, and this is probably where I'll start getting a lot of the hate. I do have The Dark Knight Rises at number 6. It is not one of my favorite Batman films. In fact, I felt I was fucking bored in this fucking movie. I remember when I watched it. I was not impressed with the villains, the whole Bane, and I didn't like Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. I felt this was a lackluster movie, especially after the last one that we had gotten, The Dark Knight. So I was not into this movie. In fact, my friend bought me this movie on Blu-ray the year it came out, and it stayed wrapped until just recently when I opened it to add, because I was putting all my movies in digital form. So yeah, not one of my favorites. Coming in at number 5 is Batman Forever. This was the movie that basically started the downcline of the original Batman movies. Joel Schumacher took over for Tim Burton. We ended up getting a new Batman and Val Kilmer, which he did all right. I'm not going to hate on Val Kilmer. But the thing is, the villains were over the top with Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. They made it you could tell Joel Schumacher changed it to make it more comical and everything, and the movie was, when you go back and watch it now, you're like, God, I liked this back in the day? What the fuck was wrong with me? But yeah, Batman Forever is still, I can watch it, but it's definitely not one of my favorite Batman movies to rewatch. Coming in at number 4 is Batman Begins. This was a good refresh for the series that it needed. Bringing in Christian Bale as the main character, showing how he became Batman in a different way. It basically showing how he became Batman, where they took it kind of basically loosely on Batman Year One, because they had been wanting that movie forever, and then they made this instead. Ra's al Ghul is the main villain of the movie. That way, you didn't have the Joker right out the gate. Just a great, Christopher Nolan did a great job with this movie. It didn't resonate with me as much back then, but now I actually kind of like it a lot more than I used to. But it's still not my favorite Batman movie, but it's a great movie though. Coming in at number 3 is Batman Returns. I remember I just loved this movie when it came out. I mean, it was just a big hit. I remember Batman being everywhere. And I loved the whole Tim Burton-esque on how he was back then in those days on everything. Catwoman, Penguin, fucking great villains in this movie. Love the story, the backstory of the Penguin that you got. You got the introduction of Catwoman. You were able to fit 2 villains in and do a good story on both of them. That's the reason why I really like this film. I grew up with this film. One of my favorites. Wasn't the favorite, but it is still way up there. And here we go. More hate probably coming out for this one. Number 2 I got is The Dark Knight. Basically, there's nothing wrong with this movie. This movie is a fucking masterpiece. Wasn't my favorite one. Heath Ledger's performance of the Joker was fucking phenomenal. And one thing I actually liked about what Christopher Nolan did with this movie is it's almost like you're not even really watching a comic book movie. It's like you're watching what this would be like in real life if these people were the way they were and everything. So this is a phenomenal movie. And like I said, there's not much for me to nitpick on what I don't like about this movie. It is a fantastic movie. And coming in at number 1 is the 89 Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. A lot of you are probably wondering why this one over The Dark Knight. Well, for me, it was the fact that this is the Batman I grew up with. I can still watch this movie, even though it's dated now. I can still watch this movie from beginning to end, enjoy every bit of piece of it. It's a phenomenal movie. I like this movie no matter how many, some of it is corny now and everything, but I mean, to me, this is my Batman. Michael Keaton will always be my Batman. I wish he would come back and do Batman Beyond. But the thing is, that's the reason why. If you want a more in-depth review, just ask for it, guys. Leave it in the comment box below, and I'll do a more in-depth review of these movies. And that's it for my rankings this time, guys. Till next time.